have been fortunate to receive the support, love, blessings and cooperation of my colleagues in my party.
He is a man who's been on the Indian political scene for over 40 years. A man of letters who was once rated among the 5 best finance ministers of the world. Pranab Mukherjee, nevertheless, would carry the all-rounder tag best, with an illustrious career serving the union government and even major international organizations in various capacities.
President Pranab Mukherjee has sent out a strong message during DRDO lecture. He says that the parliament must not be disrupted. Remember, this comes at a time when the winter session has been disrupted virtually every single day. The president has also pushed for a women's reservation bill. Srinjoy Chaudhary, National Affairs Editor, with us on the phone now. Srinjoy, the president too saying clearly that no one gains when parliament is continuously disrupted.
Well, very important lecture by Pranab Mukherjee, the President of India. He has really made 3 or 4 very important points. The first, of course, relates to disruption. He has said that you have a right as an MP to debate, to dissent, but you have no right to disrupt. So therefore, what is the point of a minority of disrupting a house, going to the well of the house, and of course, gagging the majority? He has particularly used the word gagging the majority. It's a very, very strong message the President of India has sent. That's really the first point. Secondly, the President has appealed to the government, making it very clear that this is a government with a majority in the Lok Sabha. The women's reservation bill has already passed the Rajya Sabha. So if the government passes the women's reservation bill, it would be a major electoral reform. Another major point that the president spoke about is very, very clearly that the constituencies have become too large. He said that he had 1.6 million constituents in his constituency in Murshidabad. And some constituencies are even larger, perhaps 2 million. So he suggested that there be more constituencies in the Lok Sabha, which of course will have to happen, and that would be part of electoral reform. That was really a third point he made. But the most important points, of course, relate to disruption and importantly about the women's reservation bill. Fourth point, Tina, that he has made relates to no confidence motions in the House. Supposing he has said, and he has left it to experts to look at it, he says that if you're going to present a no confidence motion in the House, then you have to come out and state the reasons why you're coming up with a no confidence motion, and equally importantly, suggest the alternative. Supposing you are going to have a no confidence motion, you have to tell the House and the government what the alternative is. If you don't have an alternative, then you have a no confidence motion which passes, then you're actually inviting chaos.
President Pranab Mukherjee takes a stand on a uniform civil code while addressing a crowd at Bapu Gujarat Knowledge Village in Gandhinagar. He said that India's inequality must not be converted to uniformity.
And abroad. As we celebrate our 70th Independence Day, I respectfully bow to the heroes of our independence struggle, known and unknown, who fought, suffered, and sacrificed their lives to win freedom for us. Mahatma Gandhi's luminous leadership finally made the British quit India in 1947. When we gained independence in 1947, nobody believed that India will survive as a democracy. Yet, 7 decades later, 1.25 billion Indians, with all their diversity, have proved these forecasts wrong. The strong edifice of democracy, built by our founding fathers on the 4 pillars of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity has withstood several threats from both within and without, and has grown from strength to strength. Fellow citizens, this is for the 5th time that I speak to you on the eve of Independence Day. In the past 4 years, I have seen with some satisfaction a stable and progressive democracy in full play, with peaceful transfer of power from one party to another, from one government to another, and from one generation to another. Notwithstanding the different hues of political thought, I have seen the ruling party and the opposition coming together in pursuit of national agenda of development, unity, integrity, and security of the nation. In the just concluded session of Parliament, the passage of the Constitution Amendment Bill for the introduction of GST amidst non-partisan and quality parliamentary deliberations is reason enough to celebrate our democratic maturity. In these 4 years, I also saw with some disquiet forces of divisiveness and intolerance trying to raise their ugly head. Attacks on weaker sections that militate against our national ethos are aberrations that need to be dealt with firmly. The collective wisdom of our society and our polity gives me the confidence that such forces will remain marginalized and India's remarkable growth story will continue uninterrupted.
Very good morning to all of you. Today, whole world is performing and practicing yoga as it has been decided by the highest policy-making body of international world, United Nations. Our Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi, in his observations in the UN General Assembly on 27 September 2014, urged the international community to practice yoga and explain the values of yoga in having solutions to many problems, health-wise, mental discipline-wise, and the overall harmony between body and mind, which will solve many problems in individual lives and have a collective impact. On the basis of Prime Minister's proposal, United Nations on 11th December of the same year, that is at the 69th session of United Nations Assembly, decided that 21st June the following year will be observed as International Yoga Day. And 21st June was observed all over the world as International Yoga Day. Massive show is going on in India Gate today, right now. Last year also we participated in Rashtrapati Bhavan, and this year also it is being organized. I am expressing my deep appreciation to the organizers of this program. One thing is very interesting to note, that how much interest was created that as many as 177 countries who are members of the United Nations General Assembly, they co-sponsored the resolution. In other words, all of them can claim that they have moved the resolution in the United Nations General Assembly. Symbolically, I have started. I wish you all success in your Yaga performance, not only ceremonially one day, but I hope you will practice and make it a part of your daily life. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
It was just not a lip service, because South Africa at that point of time accounted 8% of India's total international trade. And I had the privilege as Commerce Minister in 1994, after Nelson Mandela took over and apartheid policy came to an end, to resume that trade agreement with South Africa. I am mentioning these things only to point out that how close our relationship with African countries were. Always we considered leaders like Jomo Kenyatta, Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere as the leaders of the and symbol of the freedom struggle, Nelson Mandela as an embodiment of Gandhian principle. And many a times jokingly we said that first most important non-resident India we had was in the form of Mahatma Gandhi, who made his experiment of Satyagraha on the soils of Africa, and Africa presented Mahatma Gandhi to us, who transformed this country. Therefore, how can we tolerate it? How can we even comprehend it? We believe it, that Africans would not feel safe in India. I am happy that Government of India has taken prompt actions. And again, I appreciate the initiatives taken by the Ministry of External Affairs in consultation with the Home Ministry and others. But this aspect we shall have to keep in mind, and we shall have to reassure. I am happy, as Defence Minister I noticed, that large number of African statesmen were the product of our NDC, were the product of various high-class military academy in India, non-aligned movement, of the Asian Conference in Bandung in 1955. We consider there are 4 important personalities who gave shape to non-aligned movement. Some of them are coming from Africa. Nkrumah, Nasser, Nehru, Tito were considered as the 4 important personalities of the non-aligned movement. Jomo Kenyatta, when he led the movement for the liberation of his country, whole India stood unitedly in his support. Therefore, we shall have to create the appropriate awareness in the mind of our youngsters who may not know the history, age-old relation, many years through which the African Indian traders sailed to Africa long before Europeans. We had established contact with Africa. We had in almost every country. In 54 countries of African continent, we will find Indians having trade, business, industry. And we cannot allow this to be jeopardized in any way and create a bad impression, which is not the ethos, which is not relevant to the core values of our civilization. With these words, I wish the distinguished heads of mission and ambassador all success in their endeavors. And once again, I express my gratitude to Ministry of External Affairs, particularly Madam Sushma Swaraj, General Singh, for inviting me to share some of my perception with my old friends and colleagues with many of which I worked in my personal level. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai.
For the nastiness towards Indians and for doing precious little to eradicate India's poverty. The Amritabajar Patrika was founded on February 20, 1868 as a Bengali weekly by Shishir Kumar Ghosh and Motilal Ghosh. It became instantly popular because of its campaign against injustice and inequality. It overnight turned into an English weekly from Bengali on March 21, 1878 in order to escape the draconian provisions of the oppressive Vernacular Press Act. The Hindu was founded in Madras in 1878 by Triplicane Sikhs, a group of law students and teachers. Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak founded the Kesari in 1881. Dadabhai Naoroji established the Voice of India in 1883. Vande Mataram was published in 1906 by Bipin Chandra Pal and edited by Aurobindo Ghosh. Gopal Krishna Gokhale founded the Hitobad in 1911. Tribune was started by Dayal Singh Majithia in 1881 from Lahore. Motilal Nehru started the Independent in 1919 and Mahatma Gandhi the Indian Opinion in 1904 in South Africa and Navjivan and Young India in 1919 in India, as well as the Horijan Patrika in 1932. These trailblazers became the conscience keepers of the nation and through their relentless campaigns gave voice to the struggle for our freedom. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today the influence, credibility and quality of our media is well recognized all over the world. The Indian media has grown in scale, reach and also revenues. Over the years, its significance has further increased with higher literacy levels and the revolution in communication technology. New media has brought about a convergence between traditional, audiovisual, digital and social media. It has become a powerful means for shaping the ideas, aspirations and behavior of our people, even in the remotest corner of our country. This entrusts media with an additional responsibility. They must act as a watchdog of public interest and give voice to the marginalized. Journalists must bring to public notice the array of ills and deprivations that continue to beset large number of our people. They must shape and influence public opinion even as they provide objective and balanced coverage of news. Gloom and dark alone should not dominate news coverage. A conscious effort should be made to show what is noble and good in the society. It must highlight the positive and inspire change for the better. The power of the media should be used to reset our moral compasses and promote liberalism, humanism, and decency in public life.